21 days into the new year, this January 2026. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. It is a good day for those people who love the sun because it's officially out. Let me just give you just a small traffic update because Waiyaki Way is not looking good. Same thing to James Kishore is not looking good. Something to Kingara Road is not looking good. Just a couple of minutes before I walked into the studio, it was that bad. You know, traffic starts all the way at Waiyaki Way Exchange, going to Red Hill Exchange, if you know the place I'm talking about. So you gotta sit in traffic all the way up to Kingara Road if you're going to Ngong Road. Might take you approximately 1 hour, between 1 hour or close to 45 minutes. Let me say 1 hour between Waiyaki Way and Kingara Road before you get into Ngong Road. A distance of less than 10 kilometers, yeah? Oof. Not so good this morning, but here is what it is. For those people then who are already on the road, make sure you drive safely this morning. Be alert. Accidents do happen at this time when there's a lot of disturbance on the road. Some guys are completely disturbed with their traffic situation on the road, so please be careful as you drive on the road. Good. A lot happening. But this morning, before I tell you exactly what is happening also in other areas, gotta talk about the Nyota Fund. I'll tell you what we do know right now is that as of January 19th, 2026, it's 2 days ago, when the president was at Nyayo National Stadium, isn't it? Right here in Nairobi, the Kenyan government under President William Ruto had disbursed over 708.8 million. The total number of youth beneficiaries is at 14,176 youth in Nairobi, Kajiado, and Kiambu counties, with another 258.4 million set aside as startup capital for young entrepreneurs. Now let's look at these figures. Now this follows earlier disbursements in January 2026, including 147.5 million to youth in Machakos, Makueni, and Kitui counties, and another 173.2 million to beneficiaries in Nyeri, Murang'a, Nyandarua, and Kirinyaga counties. Now, this is what you gotta know about the Nyota Fund. The total program investment, the initiative is worth 5 billion World Bank-backed project. Disbursement structure, now beneficiaries receive a total of 25,000 shillings in initial startup capital, with 22,000 sent directly to their Pochi La Biashara mobile account and 3,000 deposited into NSSF Haba na Haba savings account. Now, the target, the project aims to support 100,000 young entrepreneurs nationwide, with 70 beneficiaries selected from each of the 1,450 wards. Finally then, to be eligible, the program is targeting unemployed youth between the age of 18 to 29 and up to 35 for people with disabilities in the country. Now, while some reports are suggesting that in some regions, beneficiaries were set to receive up to 50,000 in total, recent disbursements from what we've watched from the latest disbursement right here in Nairobi, in January 2026, they are focused on 25,000 shillings startup capital injection. So the total that you're receiving is actually around 22,000 shillings. So 44,000 in total. Now, what are we talking about this morning? Critics have looked at this fund and they've called it a campaign tool for one President Ruto. Do you agree that indeed this looks like a campaign tool for the president? This morning, we speak to youth voices or walking into the studio this morning just to look at this particular issue. Is the Nyota Fund a campaign tool for President Dr. William Ruto? Is it going to benefit the 100,000 youth across the country? Is that sustainable a number for us to say we are fighting unemployment? What are the figures of unemployment this morning? We're going to look at them. So talk to us at Look Up TV across all your social media platforms. Is 22,000 enough? So far, 708.8 million has been disbursed. The total here is 5 billion, and this program is World Bank backed. So it's a loan, and we're going to pay it. Do you agree to these figures this morning? Do you like the eligibility criteria? Is this something that the country needs to focus on? And does the president need to go around the country and do Nyota fund disbursement himself? Because the pre-qualification is already done and dusted. Those are the questions that we're going to ask this morning. And Look Up TV across all the social media platforms. Our numbers are right there on your WhatsApp line. You want to talk to us about the Nyota fund, talk to us. Have you received it? We'd like to hear from you this morning. How are the plans coming up? How are you going to repay it? We shall talk about that as well this morning. All right. Other than that, there's just a lot that is happening in the political sphere as well. Bapo Wino is spoken. We'll be telling you exactly what is spoken. A lot of demolitions happening across the country to enable the affordable housing agenda. Mukuru demolitions have been stopped. We'll be telling you exactly why and how they have been stopped. For those people who love sport, if you were asleep yesterday, I will tell you exactly what's going on. Manchester City has been beaten by Bordeaux Glint in the Champions League, 3-1 to be exact. Erling Haaland, 8th game successive without scoring. Jesus scored yesterday, Victor Gyökeres, right? Quite a fantastic goal from him. And Jesus scored 2 goals. His Champions League streak is back at it again. If you do remember, just before he stepped out, he was the best player in the Champions League. We are back at it. Arsenal is already qualified. In fact, we can forfeit the last match. We don't need it. It's 21 points already. That's how you play in the Champions League. Not these things that we're seeing here from the likes of Man City and Tottenham and Liverpool. Liverpool are back into the top 4. I will be telling you much of that once we get into your trends this morning. Let's see exactly what it is that you're waking up to in your dailies. All right. Let's then look at what you're waking up to this morning in your dailies. And as usual, we're going to start with the Standard. Yes, here we are, rectangular questions. That is the big story here this morning on the Standard. So let's take a look at it. The story is talking about how while people insist that a car crash that killed a former Lugari Member of Parliament Cyrus Jirongo was an accident, detectives have already questioned more than 20 people, including Speaker Moses Wetangula, as they dig into the final hours of a death that refuses to go away. As investigators piece together timelines and forensic evidence, politicians remain unconvinced, openly questioning the official narrative and demanding answers to what they insist are troubling inconsistencies. Our story has been covered on page 4. Now let's look at it then. They're talking about this unanswered questions here. How did Cyrus Jirongo find himself in Naivasha? Investigators want clarity now on his movement before the crash, including where he was coming from. All right? Was Jirongo driving himself? There's another question that has been asked here. Detectives are now seeking confirmation on whether the former Lugari Member of Parliament was personally behind the wheel throughout the trip, or whether another person may have driven the vehicle at any one point. Who were the passengers in the ill-fated Climax bus? Authorities are establishing the identities, seating positions, and accounts of passengers on board the Busia-bound bus, whose testimonies could help reconstruct the moments before the impact. For those people who know, ukienda kukata receipt pale country bus, si pale unaambiwa tu ingia na unapatiwa receipt. Kaa kwa kiti yenye utapata iko empty. Yeah. Now, why did the airbags of Jibongo's Mercedes-Benz fail to deploy after the impact? Investigators are also probing whether the safety systems malfunctioned and had been tampered with or were compromised by the nature and angle of the collision. None. If they didn't deploy, I mean, if you look at that wreckage, the airbags must have deployed, because head-on impact essentially just leads to deployment of the airbags. Were Jibongo's injuries allegedly inconsistent with those of a typical car crash? Now, detectives are also analyzing medical and forensic findings to determine whether the injuries align with a high-impact road collision or suggest unusual circumstances leading to the death. So it's not done yet, isn't it? I also have my questions, but I'm not a forensic expert, so I'm not going to put them on air for you this morning. I mean, in my circles, and when we look at that accident, there's a bit of inconsistencies. I mean, when you look at both vehicles that were also involved in that accident, then you will see exactly where majority of these questions will be rife at this particular point. Interesting. We want to see exactly how this goes on. It's a story that has also been covered on our social media platforms. You want to participate in it and look up TV across all of them this morning. Let's then cross into the next daily this morning, the Daily Nation. See exactly what it's talking about. This is a story on 68 billion cash crisis cripples counties. That's what the story is talking about here. Now, governors say Treasury has not wired funds for 2 months, warning that the devolved units struggling to pay salaries and suppliers now relying on bank loans risk shutdown, disrupting hospitals and schools. However, CS John Buddy insists there is no crisis. Let's look at what the Treasury CS is saying. According to him, he's saying that we began releasing the December allocation, with Nairobi already receiving its share, and by the end of this week, we expect to have disbursed the entire December tranche, leaving only January outstanding. That's what he's saying. Makweni Governor Mutula, therefore, saying contractors are becoming very wary of county projects because they incur penalties from banks when they cannot service their loans. True that. Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru saying this morning that we have bursary that we should have released, with schools opening and other development works that require payments to complete, and that has not been done yet. Nyeri Governor Mutahi Kajega was saying we have a looming strike by clinical officers as well as Kenya County Government Workers Union. The delay is going to exacerbate the situation as it is. Notable governors then speaking of that situation in the counties. Let's look. That story, by the way, has been covered on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation this morning. Let's look at another story here. Turkana has lowest turnout. Mandera tops in grade 10 admissions. Now, this is the stats from the Ministry of Education on how Turkana has the least number of students who have reported to grade 10, as the number of learners enrolled in senior schools rose to 831,000, according to the Ministry of Education, with the deadline for admission to school lapsing today. Those registered by midday yesterday accounted for 77% of the 1.1 million junior school graduates. Only 25% of learners placed in schools in Turkana County have reported. By contrast, 95% of students have joined schools in Mandera. 25%, that's less than 50%. Ooh, that's not good. The Ministry of Education has got to do something. And the county government as well. How can you have 25% only of the learners who are called to grade 10 reporting to school? Something is going to be done on that as well. There's a story here on how Ahmed Nasir now backs down in fight with Supreme Court judges. Fight that started last year, by the way. if you do remember. Now the Supreme Court judges are reviewing a fresh application seeking to lift their ban on senior counsel Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi from appearing before them. Now senior counsel Paul Muite and Fred Ngatia told the judges yesterday to reconsider the punishment, saying Mr. Ahmed Nasir had reflected on the conduct complained of and that the 2-year ban had served its purpose. Not even last year, it was towards the end of 2024. Yeah, that's when it was barred from appearing in front of the Supreme Court. Your punishment bwana imekuwa kubwa sana. Hata kama uko na beef na mtu, beef ya miaka 2 bwana ni mingi sana. Read that story on page 2. All right, on page 3 and 10, you're going to read about Shakahola. Confession, first suspect pleads guilty. Enos Amanya Ngala, the head of security for a cult led by Paul Mackenzie that caused the deaths of more than 450 people at Shakahola Forest in Kilifi, became the first suspect to plead guilty to the multiple murder cases. Our story has been covered on page 3. On page 10, there's hospitals are facing 6 months sharp pay delays. For more than 6 months, level 2 and 3 hospitals have not received any payment for primary health care from the Social Health Authority, SHA, forcing many facilities to shut down essential services. Our story has also been covered on page 10 as well. That's exactly what it is that you're waking up to this morning in your dailies. Majority of the stories, like we keep on saying, have been covered on our social media platforms and Look Up TV across all of them. For now then, let's step away from your dailies this morning and look at what you're waking up to this morning in terms of your trends. And here we go. We are going to begin with this clip here. Just look at what you're waking up to this morning before we begin our trends. Now, there's a lady in Nakuru, a restaurant owner, who I think 2 days ago, yes, if I'm not wrong, went online and did a video of how business was not going well in her premise. Said she invested millions of money, but then not received a single customer at all. All right, locked herself in the restaurant, showed how empty the restaurant was, said she's just about to shut down business, she couldn't be running it. And our Kenyans looked at that video and they said it's time to support her. Yesterday, they flocked her restaurant to the brim. Some of them took shopping for her, and she could not even serve them anymore. And they even pledged, that they're going to go back again today to continue showing her the support that she needed to run her business. All right? Her name is Harriet Akinyi. After her emotional TikTok video went viral, she said she invested all her savings in a new hotel, but had no customers. Kenyans even traveled from Nairobi to support her. Let's take a look at this emotional clip of Harriet Akinyi then getting overwhelmed by emotions as clients.
Thank you for the support for the impromptu visit to Mukuja. Natokea tu kamekuwa overwhelmed na the last turnout, but I'm just hoping people from support today endelee kila siku kwa one day activity. Asanteni sana. Huyu ndo amefanya tukajua. Thank you so much. Asanteni sana Mukuja, but nimeenjoy sana.
That's how it is, isn't it? I mean, if we do this as Kenyans, then we won't even need the Nyota fund. Think about it. Yeah? It's emotional right there. She was overwhelmed to the point that she couldn't even cook or prepare meals for them because the clients were too many. So it became just, let's go support you, right? For those who were served, they were served, but then majority of Kenyans also said that they will continue then flocking a restaurant this week. Kinu the Appeals was saying, I also travel there next week. Thomas was saying, is this sustainable? No. Better would have been remodeled the business around her passion for food, maybe something new, cheap and nice, needs capital and ideas. Wewe bwana, sasa Thomas aje sasa. Si anauza chakula. Why remodel the business? I mean, it's a restaurant and guys were served yesterday. So what are you saying? Sikuelewi bwana. Eh? Better would have been remodeled the business around her passion for food. But she was serving food kienyeji. Ala, ni nini mbaya? It's capital. Si alikuwa na si ashaanza. Sasa ni vile kuwa na clients. Tena alikuwa nataka capital ya nini bro? She was very clear. She said she didn't have clients. And so Kenyans listened to that and they said, we are coming over there so you can give us that food. And majority of them were served to the point that she couldn't serve anymore. So amka huku uende uombe chakula pia we kesho, Thomas. Allah. Achoka Kangatha was saying prayers are that these micro enterprises are able to scale in line with goodwill customers continue to show. Mindset is key for founders to embrace and plan for growth and move from seasonal businesses. This is how we'll all grow. I do agree with that. I love Kenyans and being proud to be a Kenyan. This is Jeff Mashika who's saying this morning, that's a good gesture from Kenyans. That's it. Now, finally then, we do have Kadabra, all right, who's saying a hotel's primary function is to provide lodging, accommodation, offering rooms and related services for overnight stay, while a restaurant's main purpose is to serve food and drinks, focusing on culinary experiences and dining, though many hotels contain their own restaurants. Tulikuwa tunajua. All right, finally, the last ones, Stephen Ndungu was saying to those who attended and have supported her, a big thank you and God bless you all. Thank you for the support and standing with her. May the business grow. That's how it is, isn't it? Fantastic. Good. Let's move away from Harriet Akinyi and her restaurant this morning and look at another one. It looks as if Babu Wino has been speaking. We've had these conversations about ODM, and we're going to continue having those conversations the coming week. Babu, though, has spoken and he said he is calling for an NDC and is coming from that top leadership of ODM. Let's listen to it and then come and see what majority of Kenyans are reacting to.
There is a storm in ODM, and that storm, people must come together. There must be an NDC that will ensure that that storm is solved. That party should be handed over with an immediate effect, and you are looking at the party leader as we speak. Yes, we don't need to disrespect anybody, but it is our time. There's nothing wrong with Moses, but it is Joshua's time.
Yes,
indeed. That is it. So it is upon you to decide whether you want the weakest Joshua or the strongest Joshua. Whether you want a Joshua who is Moses' age mate or older than Moses, or a Joshua who is younger than Moses. And that is what I can tell you. This is politics. We will play it as it comes because we are leaders who've been elected in this country. You saw the polls the other day, spoke very well. The poll stated clearly that Babu Owino should be the party leader at 33%, followed by my father, Honorable Dr. Oburu Odinga at 10%, followed by Gladys Wanga at 7%, and then the others shared 1%. So clearly, the people have spoken.
Majority of Kenyans are saying, I mean, Babu Owino has come out and said, I'm going to be the leader. Yeah, he said there's nothing wrong with one, Oburu Odinga. But then he's saying it's time for a change in that leadership. There's nothing wrong with Joshua. You get it? And he's saying the polls indicated it. 33% of Kenyans want me to be the party leader of ODM. So they said, let's call for an NDC. But within the party constitution, you can only petition the party leader to call for the NDC. You can't call for the NDC if you're not the party leader. So, acha tuone vile hizo fireworks within ODM zinaenda kublow. Because they've come out. Winnie Odinga at Jamhuri also said, let's call for an NDC. Babu Owino here is saying, let's call for an NDC. The likes of Sifuna saying, hey, this party leadership bwana. Mambo ya broad-based government hatutaki bwana. So how is it gonna go? That's exactly what we're looking at, and we'll keep on, talking about these conversations as we go by. So let's see a couple of reactions to this announcement here by Babu Owino, so that we see exactly how Kenyans are reacting. I'm looking for the best. That's what I'm trying to get. I can't get proper reactions this morning. I have to. I'm only saying things, only saying comments on Okech Salah. Okay, let me read this one from Nyaboke Mshamba, who's saying, I don't even think. All right, Wine Kakuo, who's saying Chungwa House split is one for the books. We will be there, and indeed we shall be there, isn't it? Dan Kims was saying, the vultures have assembled to insult Raila's family and legacy. They have resorted to hired thugs while cheering in their silence. Kenyans are watching. This one from Etale was saying, Ida Sifuna Winnie Babu Obengo. It is the axis of the party that is keeping Raila's legacy alive within the party. Busybodies like yourself won't distract Kenyans from seeing the real picture. That's how it is, isn't it? All right. Just another one as well. I can't say it. For us, it's just to watch and see exactly what is the next move then from ODM. Now that Babu Wino has come out to speak about Kim wanting to take over the leadership of ODM, he said it's time for me as well. Do you agree? Talk to us at Look Up TV across all your social media platforms. Let me then look at the next trending issue this morning. We do have this one. And yesterday, I mean, majority of Kenyans were treated to some image that purportedly showed Nganga's church, Neno Evangelism in Nairobi, being torn down. But it's a good thing that we're in the age of AI. And, you know, before you react, because it was trending, you gotta look at the image properly. Because tunajuanga hiyo kanisa, unajua inakuanga mabati. Sasa mabati inageukaje na kuwa maji. You know, analyzing images now. You gotta talk to your parents. You gotta talk to the older folk. Vizuri tu bwana. Because, hey, jana kulikuwa kumewaka. And guys pulled all the videos of the pastor allegedly talking about how he got the land. And they redated them to look like they were from yesterday. So, through and through, it was trending that his church has been brought down. But turns out, we're just an AI image that was trending yesterday online. Yeah, hii ni maji bwana, hii si mabati. Hata ukibomoa mabati kwa njivo. It shows exactly where we are. Kabla ubelieve, sikuizi AI bwana imekuwa kitu ingine. The task nowadays is not the quality of the images, it is discerning whether it's AI or not. You know? So fact checking has become a thing now. Especially if you find yourself on Twitter, you can ask Grok. Grok, is this image AI? Grok would actually help you with discerning whether it's AI or not. So a couple of reactions then. Zolz was saying, alas, kanisa ya kamana imeenda uongo bwana. See, you're part of those people who have been duped. I'm telling you, man. Lewis was saying, just imagine how lucrative that church ground is. It's 10 minutes from the airport and serve the both exit and the entrance of the expressway. What if a hotel is built on that area? I mean, again, verify before you speak, you know? That's good. I've got Wycliffe Wairimu saying, kwani mabati na bomolewa na inatoa vumbi ya simiti. Good. That shows that you're verifying, and it's very, very good for you to verify these things before you talk about them. There's Eric who's saying, look closely at those writings in a caterpillar's arm. They're not real. It's an AI generated image. That's the only thing you're supposed to look at, Bwana. All right? Mabati litoa cement, according to Wycliffe Wairimu. That's how it is, isn't it? All right, let's look at the last one then this morning. What we do know is that the government has been pushing heavily for demolitions of existing slum developments and upgrading them into the affordable housing projects. There have been an onslaught in Mukuru slums, but yesterday there was a clash between the police and the residents of Mukuru who stopped the police from demolishing those projects. I don't know why we have that video so that we can look at it and talk about it this morning. Let me just look at a couple of responses here. Wanjira Wanjiru, who's saying, I hate this so much. I hate this government demolishing houses without alternatives for the people. What kind of rule is this? A government that hates its people must be rejected. Now, Wafurishwe State House. Okay, this is Danzon Dantes, who's saying this directive was issued by the same guy until
ODM, and that storm, people must come together.
You could see them clashing with police officers when they went to demolish those slums in Mukuru. Apparently, there was a court order that even Governor Sakaja had to go and address the residents there just to quell them down because the situation was turning ugly yesterday. Good. That's exactly what it is that you're waking up to this morning. Yes, this is the video that we're talking about. That's the video of residents of Mukuru not fighting with the police and clashing with them to stop demolitions that were ongoing in that area to allow for the affordable housing project. That's exactly what it is that you're waking up to this morning. I'm not going to go deep and tell you about how Arsenal and Man City played yesterday. You already know if you're a football fan. All right? The biggest thing that we're thinking about now is this weekend, Arsenal playing Manchester United on Sunday, and I hope Man United fans, you're not supposed to beat Arsenal. There's nothing you're playing for this season. Let Arsenal win and win the 4 trophies. Just come in to participate. That's the only thing I'm going to say now. We take a tiny breather. Once we come back, we're coming back with a conversation this morning on the Nyota Fund politics. Question being, is it really a campaign tool or it's working how it's supposed to work? Let's hear this from Youth Voices this morning in the studio. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. Good morning. I'll see you on the other side of this break.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Lookup, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki, na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu, wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hawa sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi mazuri.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
How easy is it for you to forgive someone who has hurt you?
How easy is it?
What are some tips, a person can apply to improve their public speaking skills?
We all have personality lazy somewhere around us.
In my mind, whenever I'm invited for a public speaking event, I don't like to put a lot of, accessories or too many colors.
What are the major things to look out when choosing a school for a child?
Another cheesy conversation starter is, men do this a lot. They look familiar. Have we met before?
Oh.
No. We met in
Nobody's buying that line again.
No, we don't. We don't buy it anymore.
recall the doctor telling me that day, he said, Sarah, I'm sorry about what happened to you, but you see, life happens. You would have to learn to work with your hands, depend on your hands more.
And today, if you're going through anything that you do not understand, just call on this name, Jesus, and he will save you.
I realized I loved music when I was about 7 or 8. I used to puff my cheeks and play the 12-bar blues. Like I'd walk around the house doing like...
Why do we need the Holy Spirit?
I mean, if you look at what Jesus said when he was leaving, he said he is going and that he will send the Holy Spirit as our helper.
So God knows everything since the end, from the beginning, has a plan for your life. So to find that plan for your life, you must find God. When you find God, you will know the path for your life.
Do you need a dose of hope? If so, you are in the right place. We think of ourselves around here as hope dealers, delivering truth, power, and inspiration to hearts and minds all over the world. If nothing else has worked for you, why not give the God thing a try? For it's in the presence of God that you'll find everything that you need. Amen.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed the life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Lookup, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki, na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hawa sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi mazuri.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
How easy is it for you to forgive someone who has hurt you?
How easy is it?
What are some tips, a person can apply to improve their public speaking skills?
We all have personality lazy somewhere around us.
In my mind, whenever I'm invited for a public speaking event, I don't like to put a lot of, accessories or too many colors.
What are the major things to look out when choosing a school for a child?
Another cheesy conversation starter is, men do this a lot. Men look familiar. Have we met before?
No.
We met in
Nobody's buying that line again.
No, we don't. We don't buy it anymore.
Do you need a dose of hope? If so, you are in the right place. We think of ourselves around here as hope dealers, delivering truth, power, and inspiration to hearts and minds all over the world. If nothing else has worked for you, why not give the God thing a try? For it's in the presence of God that you'll find everything that you need. Amen.
I recall the doctor telling me that day, he said, Sarah, I'm sorry about what happened to you, but you see, life happens. You would have to learn to work with your hands, depend on your hands more.
And today, if you're going through anything that you do not understand, just call on this name, Jesus, and he will save you.
I realized I loved music when I was about 7 or 8. I used to puff my cheeks and play the 12-bar blues. Like I'd walk around the house doing like...
Why do we need the Holy Spirit?
I mean, if you look at what Jesus said when he was leaving, he said he's going and that he will send the Holy Spirit as our helper.
So God knows everything since the end, from the beginning, has a plan for your life. So to find that plan for your life, you must find God. When you find God, you will know the path for your life.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Drift. My name is Simba Elijah Charles King. Again, thank you very much for being a part and parcel of our conversation this morning. Let's then talk about it, because it's been said, the Nyota fund politics, the unsaid truths, and what you really have to know this morning about this particular fund. Now, snapshot, what we do know is that currently as it is, 708.8 million shillings has already been disbursed to 14,176 youth across the country. Remember, this fund is targeting around 100,000 youth. So we do expect that about 70,000 or 74,000 plus thereof youth are also going to receive, 84,000, I'm sorry, youth are going to receive more of these funds in other counties and wards as well. Now, in January 2026, we do know that the president already disbursed 147.5 million to youth in Machakos, Makueni, and Kitui counties, and another 173.2 million to beneficiaries in Nyeri, Murang'a, Nyandarua, and Kirinyaga counties. Now, total program investment is 5 billion. There's a World Bank Kenya project. We'll be telling you exactly what that is. Disbursement structure, beneficiaries get a total of 25,000, but not in fully, because 3,000 goes to 3,000 goes to NSSF, Haba na Haba account, and so on your Pochi la Biashara, you receive 22,000 shillings. Now the project targets 100,000 youth, young entrepreneurs nationwide, with 70 beneficiaries selected from each of the 1,450 wards. Now, for you to be eligible, you gotta be between the age of 18 to 29 years, good. But if you are a person living with disability, the infirm in Kenya, it extends up to 35 years of age. What we do know is that some youth are receiving 22,000 shillings, but some reports indicate that if you're lucky, you can get the entire tranche of 50,000 shillings, so around 44,000 shillings getting sent into your Pochi la Biashara so that you can begin your startup business. That's how it is. On paper, looks fantastic, but on the ground, is that what majority of Kenyans are really saying? Do you believe that we can have a topic around the politics of the Nyota fund, and the best way then for us to have this conversation, to speak to youth who are essentially looking at this money and asking whether indeed the disbursement or the intention of these funds is knocking where it's supposed to knock? All right, so this morning then, I want to introduce the youth who are joining us in the studio this morning to talk about this. We are joined by one, Oyo Kasam, who's a political commentator. How are you doing, sir?
Doing good, maybe from your end.
Fantastic. I saw you yesterday addressing, we'll be talking about that before we come to the end of our show this morning. Also joining in this morning, we do have Maobe Victor, who is a CIC, EFF, Kenya Economic Freedom Fighters. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. So let's talk about it. I want to start with you, Kasam.
Yeah.
The Nyota Fund program, targeting 100,000 youth in the country, is looking to give them a startup capital of up to 50,000 shillings for them to start their businesses. But what they're receiving now is 22,000 as the first tranche, as they await the next 22,000 shillings. What are your feelings about the Nyota Fund program? Is that the way to go?
Okay, personally, I feel that's the way to go. And Kiagi, just but to click from somewhere before I elaborate onto it, Nyota Fund is not targeting 100,000 youths. Nyota Fund is a wide project that has around 6 phases. So the business support is just but the first phase. There is another phase. There are other additionally of 5 phases. There is one targeting around 600,000 people, another one 20,000, and then this one is 100. So this project is totally targeting around women and people, youth and people with disability. Is around 720,000 people that are in this project.
Yes.
But since you've talked about the startup, which is the business, that is the Nyota business startup. And I want to say this project as Jevin Oyoka Sam.
Yes.
This is a very good project. And before even I comment on it, I want to credit the project coordinator, Austin Mayabi, who has segregated his time to make sure that this project is being laid out in the way it was planned. Let me give you a good example. People are saying that people are politicizing everything in Kenya. You start up something. So I want to say thank you to His Excellency the President for taking a bold step, fixing his schedule to make sure that he's going in every county to launch up this project. Because the Kenya I know, the Kenya we live in, if he wouldn't have done that mega launch where he calls young people and disburse funds to them, people would have said it's a scam. People would have said it's a scam. So if somebody gives you a starting capital, if the intention of the president was to use this as a political tool, he wouldn't have done the basis foundation that people don't talk about. Financial literacy was done to the people who applied and were selected. So you are called, you are trained how to handle funds, how to identify business ideas, how to encourage the heart of saving.
Yes.
That was done.
Yes.
Yeah, prior to the mega launch. So if somebody has a good intention with you, he teaches you, he gives you, before giving you funds, you are called on board. And then when you are called on board, you are trained on how you should use these funds. You get?
Yes.
Then after being trained on how to use these funds, then these funds are now directly given to you. Apart from these funds being given to you, you are also taught the heart of saving. And you are encouraged that we don't save because we have. We save because it is necessary to save. So my opinion is Nyota Fund is a good thing. Because if it was a bad thing, and it was an handout as most people claim,
yes,
they would have given it to you without telling you any other thing to do about it.
Yes.
But if they call you on board, educate you on how to handle it, educate you on how to save, and then give you a startup to watch on how you are going to handle it. From there, they can give you the next phase.
That's it.
So as for me, a credit to them, and it's a good thing.
Fantastic. I'll be coming to you on what the critics are then saying on why this is pretty much a political move from the government. Victor, do you share the same sentiments, or you come from a different bridge this morning?
I don't share the same sentiments with my brother, because first let us look at the history of these funds that we are talking about. During Kibaki's time, they created the Youth Enterprise Fund.
Yes.
During Uhuru's time, we had the KYOP, Kenya Youth Employment Opportunities. And after that, it has graduated into Nyota right now. But again, it's clear, and it's very important to say that these are World Bank projects. It's 90% financed by the World Bank. So sometimes I wonder why the president is overhyping something that, you know, it's not even a Kenya government project. Secondly, we saw the KYOP. And actually, personally, I took an initiative. and I assisted young people to register, just here in Dagoretti North. Majority of them, you are to choose either between to be supported to go to an institution of learning, maybe to support your education, or to be given a grant to start a business. Majority of the youth that I applied for, I was shocked. They told me that they wanted an opportunity to go to study. They never wanted the money, right? Why did they want the money? Why didn't they want the money? There is something called sustainability. This government has what we call the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. And if you look at the key points of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, one of it, they talked about speed highways. They came, digital highways. They came and talked about MSMEs. That's where now the Nyota Fund falls. And then they came and talked about health. They talked about agriculture, where they aim to irrigate about 125 million acres of land. They came and talked about the issue of housing and so on. So my opinion is that if you are an entrepreneur, because I have a startup, and I'll tell you for facts, the biggest thing that you need to start a business is an idea, not even that money that they're giving into your hands. Secondly, we have what we call the startup bill. The startup bill was introduced by the current governor for Nairobi, Johnson Sakaja, when he was senator for Nairobi. The startup bill was very, 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 very elaborate. And one of the main aims of the startup bill was to create incubation, business incubation centers in all the 1,450 wards that we have in this country. But the president has not assented to that bill. It was passed in the Senate, and they said that further evaluation of the bill is still ongoing. But the president went ahead and signed 2 more bills that are affecting young people, the cybercrime bill and another bill. So what I'm trying to say is that this money that has been given, the entire budget is 33 billion shillings that has been disbursed by World Bank. We need to have clear framework and something that is called sustainability of the program. You've given me 22,000 today. And when you look at what I'm basing on the startup bill, it was proposing things like tax breaks. Right now, as we speak, as a young person, I'm exposed to the same kind of taxes that the older generation is exposed to, simply because we're in a competitive market. Yes. They don't care whether I'm a startup or I'm not a startup. So the issue of patenting of ideas. The other time we saw someone claiming that his idea was stolen, and there's nobody who can talk about that. It was taken by the ministry and that is it. And actually it was taken by a government ministry. So how do we support startups in this country? Especially in the tech. One of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda was to support the creative industry. And right now, look, they introduced a tax on creatives, just recently through a bill. So on this side, you're coming up with laws which are oppressing the young people. On this other side, you're coming up with peanuts, actually grants. These grants, you're giving them to young people, but look at the population. How many young people graduated from university just the other day? More than, actually, the Form 4, let's leave the university alone, the Form 4, more than 300,000 D grade and below. 300,000. And you're talking about targeting about 100,000 young people. What criteria is used to do what? To allocate this money to these people. And we've had history. The other day, they came up with Hustler Fund. We've had history in this country. They no longer talk about Hustler Fund now. Now it's Nyota. Again, the president of a country, instead of providing employment opportunities to young people, not everybody was born to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody dreams of starting a business. And there's this copycat strategy. I don't know if it's a strategy or it's a culture that we have in this country. Right now, everybody's hugging a tree. Simply because one person went and hugged a tree. Today, go and start a business somewhere selling smokies and see how many more smokies will be on that road. So our education system is encouraging us to fall into this trap. Yes. It's not sustainable in my opinion.
Yes.
And if it is sustainable, they should have supported existing businesses. If you go to walk into a bank today and you're going to ask for a loan, they will not fund you to start a business. They'll fund you to scale up your business. The first thing they ask you, have you started?
That's it.
It's not about I have this idea. And again, they don't have another aspect which is so important. In KYOP, you used to come up with a business proposal, right? You come up with a business plan, a business idea, you present it before a panel, and they say this idea is viable. But do they have such mechanisms to know which idea is viable, which idea is not viable? Where are we joking with resources that are meant to, you know, to improve the lives of young people in this country?
Kasam, I know you have so many points to speak on to that, but even as you come back to it, let's get into the politics of Nyota Fund then. At what point was the government going to publicly communicate that indeed this program is actually a loan from the World Bank, that we are going to start paying as early as of 2029 with the interests that are back to it? Why couldn't they come out and say, oh, yo, look here, we've taken a loan, and Kenyans, you're going to pay this loan back? Then we would have told the government the proper way to spend this loan, because you can't take a loan on behalf of Kenyans and decide where you're going to use it as a government. Then Kenya should have come and told them, if we're taking that loan, then take our views first. Come and tell us, we're thinking of something called Nyota Fund, Kasam. We're going to the World Bank. The World Bank is going to give us this amount of money, and this is how we intend to use this Nyota Fund. Go around the country, the way the president is going around the country currently as it is, to officiate the handover of the 22,000 shillings to Kenyan youth, and pick views of Kenyans, and then come up with a proper model of using our money. Kasam, you and I have to pay this money as of 2029.
It's not bad if we pay. Let me tell you something. You know, you people, Kenyans are just being dramatic. Sometimes I listen to these conversations and then I laugh. Can I give you a good example? When the former president took over 3 trillion to do the railway, the one we're using currently, you remember?
Yes.
It was around 3 trillion. Did you people participate in allowing him to go for that money?
But there was public participation on that project.
You get?
Yes.
Then it was brought on board. But to date, we are paying that loan. Even some of us who have never gotten a chance to use that SGR. Somebody from my area, in the interior part of Migori, Nyatike,
yes,
who does not know even that SGR exists. So my humble opinion is one. You see, when somebody gets a loan, sometimes you are not qualified to get a loan. And I've heard my brother argue, saying that people from the universities have graduated and they are being given peanuts. 22,000 is not a peanut. I argued with him before we came to this room, and I asked him a very essential question. I was asking him, how much did you use to get this bike? For business. He's having a business bike. Another one for another thing apart from what he's doing. Then he told me, simple, you only need to pay a deposit of 10,000. Then I'm like, okay, what do you do with it? I have series of them. He's telling me he has series of them, so he's using them to do delivery. And for that, each delivery is paid. And to own this bike, you only need 10,000 shillings. So with the money you are given from Nyota Fund alone, 22,000, you can acquire 2 of those bikes and package a delivery bag on all of them. That is already creating employment for 2 other people. You, the third person who is managing the bikes. You get? As I stated earlier, it's not about how much you are given, but it's about the ideology that you have to factualize what you're already having in mind. You get? When somebody gives you a startup of 22,000, it does not mean you have to go and get a trolley and start selling smokies. No. It does not mean you have to buy some biscuits and be hawking from vehicle to vehicle. You understand? There are many different businesses that were shared on these platforms. You can go and lease some piece of land, half an acre at my place is 6,000. Go over it with a tractor, 3,500. put maize on it, and then at your free time you can be, when you get 300 you weed it out, you'll get maize out of it. When the other 22,000 comes, now you know what to do. You can put additional crop or maintain this farm. You will harvest and get your maize, get your money back. So what I'm trying to say and insist, if the Kenyan government has taken a loan and given me my share as Jevin Oyoka Sam, why shouldn't I support it? When they get loans and people rig loans, people get loans, they squander it. How many have been missing from the previous loans that have been taken? And for the first time, people are feeling that a loan has been taken. People are feeling the impact of that loan at the grassroots level. Imagine the 1,450 wards, at least 70 young people, those young people and with disability are feeling the impact of Nyota Fund for the first time. And people don't know the detail of the Nyota Fund. That is what I was talking about. I think you should tag along the project coordinator so that he explains to you that it is not only the business support that is in Nyota Fund. Let me talk about this before you cut me short. We have the RPL that was introduced by this government, Institutions of Prior Learning. So in an institution of prior learning, when you have a skill and you cannot get a job because you lack papers, and you have a skill, let's say you are good at mechanics, you are a good mechanic, you can do good in maintaining vehicles and doing every other thing concerning a vehicle. Yes. But you don't have certificates to go and apply for a job. Maybe you go to Isuzu and tell them, I have the skills. You know, everything verbal is a rumor. So to prove you have these skills, you need to go back to school to take this course, right? Which is very expensive. But through the Nyota Fund, a project has been introduced that is going to benefit over 20,000 people with skills. They are giving you funds to take you to an institution of prior learning, where they check the skills you have and award you a recognized certificate over the same. This certificate will benefit somebody who dropped out of school or who had no funds to go to school but opt to acquire for a skill. But do people tell you that is part of the Nyota project? No. Do they tell you that 600,000 young people and women are going to be trained on job links and government procurement, their own jobs? That's it. They don't talk about it. People are only focused on the 22,000 that they don't know how to plan for. So they say the government is giving peanuts. When somebody creates his time, more so the president, he has taken, let's say people say he's alone, through me I've not confirmed. I don't want to talk, this is a public TV, I don't want to talk about any rumor because I don't have a lawyer. I'm not a young man trying to earn an honest living. I don't have time to battle with the government in court. But one thing I have to say, we must accept the fact that for the first time, a loan has been taken, even if it's a loan, or a grant has been taken on behalf of Kenyans, and over 300,000 young people are feeling the impact. We unaweza sikiaje if your wife gets a loan on your behalf? Let's say the common Kenya women. Your wife runs to Kenya women, takes a loan, and then uses your property as guarantors. As guarants. Then he says, you will take this chair. In case I don't pay, take the vehicle, take the cows. You will feel so bad, right? But if it's you who takes the loan, you have to service it because you know it's your properties that will go. So people are saying young people are taking 22,000, they are getting drunk, they are getting married, some are paying dowry, some are going for MCA positions. But one thing I'm proud about is out of the 100,000 people that are going to receive the 22,000, I'm certain there is a visionary young person around 80,000 that are going to put this money into business and they're going to succeed. And everything being done in Kenya, it is political based. Who does not want to get a political mileage? Everything everyone is doing is to get a political mileage, and that is what I want to talk about.
That's it.
When the president was taking a loan to do the SGR and all that, he wanted people to see that he has done this. So what do Kenyans want? If you want to go and take a loan on their behalf to actualize projects, they don't want. If you want to privatize the Kenya pipeline, which is their own, to give them funds to put into the infrastructure they are crying, Kenyans don't want. If you want to sell the Safaricom shares at a given cost so that you use it in infrastructure, Kenyans don't want. What do Kenyans want? They don't want loans. They don't want their resources to be managed. So it's so frustrating to be a Kenyan president. You have to have like series of advisors, and the president is a very courageous young person. Everyone saying, the other time the president was saying, do you think I want to be president forever? Because it's frustrating to be a Kenyan president where everyone is wise. The population is 75% youth. The president has to do everything possible to make sure that a given percentage of young people listens to him. That's why the PS for youth, for the first time in the history of Kenya, is a young person, because he will gauge and say, young people are jobless.
That's it.
What do? We can give 100%, 100,000 young people to be self-employed or venture into self-driven businesses. You are saying about creating employments. The Kenyan government currently under the President Samoei Ruto, how many PZs are being constructed over this nation currently? People who are going to be employed in these places are skilled and non-skilled.
That's it.
So we have to look for a way to balance these things. And I want to say, me personally as Jevin Oyoka Sam, I'm not going to be part of the opposition. I'm too young to oppress the government. I want to look at the small loopholes on what the government is doing. How do you feel when you are trying to generate an idea? You know, sometimes in the Kenyan constitution, there is no legal way to do public participation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, public participation, the president can come to Nairobi and talk to 2 people, go to Kiambu, talk to 2 people, run to Homa Bay and talk to 2 people, and that becomes a public participation.
That's it.
There is, the constitution does not give a legal framework on how to run a public participation. But one thing I will not differ from saying is that everybody is looking for a political mileage. And to get a political mileage, it is a matter of how many lives did you impact.
Pretty much. And that's where the conversation begins, Victor.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing that what Kasam is saying is true. We got to look at the other parts of the Nyota Fund that have not really received much of publicity as the rest of the one area that is the startup fund has received. Let's look at it then. If you look at what the Nyota Fund is also targeting on digital skills, 600,000 youth are going to be trained on accessing government procurement opportunities, e-procurement, and on financial literacy, 600,000 of them. And then recognition of prior learning is also targeting 20,000 youth, all right?
620,000 young people.
With existing informal skills, artisans for example, to increase their employability. Good, we keep on it. 90,000 youth are also going to be paid on job training and apprenticeships to 90,000 youth.
So elaborate that one to come out so that you'll understand.
Pretty much.
These 90,000 young people.
Yes, Kasam.
Let me finish on this one,
yes,
because
can I put the question to him?
Let me breathe in.
Yes, we have the entire day to do that. They're going to be paid 6,000 as well during this period that they're getting trained. The 90,000 are being targeted. We continue. If you look at this plus the 100,000 youth then that have been targeting on this startup fund, you're talking about 820,000 to be exact. The youth that in one way or another that the Nyota Fund wants to benefit. Let's put that aside. But the question the majority of critics have been asking is, does the president have to organize sit-downs and rallies across the 47 counties for him to officiate this? Because this is already a pre-qualified process, just like Kasam is putting it here. They've already done their groundwork. They know who would receive, who would not. They've already trained majority of these youth. Does the president have to go there and officiate? What is he officiating, Victor?
Even before we go to the president officiating,
yes,
the numbers are interesting. However, we all agree, even my friend has said that over 75% of the population in Kenya is composed of young people.
That's it.
And again, the second point that we need to understand, each year we are graduating about 1 million young people from high school all the way to tertiary institutions.
That's it.
Come back and look at the cost of education in this country. How much does it take to graduate either in higher institutions of learning or even just the basic education, which is high school or even primary. What is the fee per term in this country or per year? It's about 50-something thousand, right?
Yes.
And then you've gone through all the process, you're now a graduate. Okay, that's interesting. Let's come to the numbers. You're talking about 600,000 are going to be trained about e-procurement.
That's it.
Hey, e-procurement, of course, they are taking the process of procurement into an electronic procurement, away from the manual one. So e-procurement, maybe you are applying for tenders or something. Can you look at the percentage of how many young people benefit from public tenders in this country? Okay, a population of 75,000. They are absorbed by 80% of Kenyans work in the informal sector.
That's
right?
It. That's it.
That is it. So my argument comes here. If 80% of the informal sector, the population of young people, which is 75%, has been absorbed by 80%, which is the informal sector, does the government have the data on the existing businesses that are run by young people? If the government has that data, what do we do to scale up or to support the existing businesses so that these businesses can absorb more young people into them? So another issue that we have to look at, we are talking about these trainings, and yet we have graduates.
I hope you're taking notes, because he's asking proper points. He's saying, if the government has this data, then what are they doing? Knowing very well that they know these businesses that the young people in this country are running. Continue, Victor.
Okay. Let's come about the training.
Yes.
I myself have attended a lot of trainings. And let me tell you, you've trained me about e-procurement, or you've given me that certificate to go and seek employment elsewhere, to show that, yes, I'm a mechanic, as my brother has put it. However, I'm a mechanic who is self-taught, right?
Yes.
So I need this certification to show that I'm able to qualify for this job.
That's it.
Okay, my question comes in. You've given me these credentials. Do we have enough existing businesses for all of us to go and seek for such kind of opportunities? So the point comes here, as a president of a country, you know, your oversight implementation of policies, and also you influence the formation of new policies that are meant to help the larger populace of a country. So the impact of the Nyota project, we cannot deny that people are going to get resources. You're giving me this 22,000. I'm a graduate and I did a course of, let's say, medicine. We've spent over 600,000 from our family, you know? That is an investment my parents put on me so that they can see returns. But in turn, you've said, hold on, before you get a job, we are giving you not the Nyota project grant.
That's it.
It's actually a grant, it's not a loan. They've given you a grant. My parent has spent 600,000 for a single course, especially with the new reforms that have come with education, right? Courses have become so expensive in this country. Compared to 22,000, it's not even an upkeep fee for me to stay at school. It's what? Wait, just a minute.
Even to people who are graduates. You know the problem is...
And that's where we're going to come in. Kasam, hold on there.
When we talk about the youth, we are not talking about, we are not separating them. We are not talking about, Nyota is not a project for dropouts alone. We have people who benefited from Nyota and they are not dropouts. What are the qualifications of you to qualify for Nyota? It's the age bracket. You have to be between 18 years
and 29 years.
And 29 years.
That's it.
They don't say that you don't have to be a student of medicine for you to do what? Yes. And we know that in this country, we have limited opportunities. So the broad-based people, they've changed the narrative from exporting labor. They used to tell us that now we're exporting labor to these, Middle East countries and so on. They came up with Kazi Maju program. These programs are not sustainable. They came up with what we call the Hustler Fund. And they said they made it very beautiful. You can borrow from your phone. It was not all about. So this issue of lip service, telling us about figures and numbers, and I think the president is obsessed with numbers, is even so specific that we are going to target 600,000 youth. You're talking about 600,000 in a population where 75% are young people. 75% of 55 million, what are you talking about? Telling us 600,000. He's talking about, he's defending the privatization of public institutions. He's saying that we are selling this so that we can get the money. You are selling KPC to get the money. Invest that money in what projects? Yeah? Can you tell me one successful project that this government has done up to where we are today and what impact it has, right? And I also want to correct him that Uhuru did not spend 3 trillion in coming up with SGR. It was 300 billion, right? So all I'm trying to say is this. These projects are good on paper. In Kiswahili, we call it vipindi. You act, it's a script. The president comes and he uses one person and tells him, don't go use this money to buy you a girlfriend wherever. Don't do this. He wants to be the talk of topic. After we are done with that, they fold it and nothing else comes out of it. Can they give us a success story of where they've disbursed the money already as we talk? Because I think they divided into 5 bands, yes. five regions. So they started with the western region, the Kakamega, wherever, Busia. They finished with it. Can we go there to a ground and see what miracles the Singapore dream that we are going to achieve by this 22,000 that we are giving young people? If you give me 22,000 today, I want to ask you a question.
That's it.
I'm a young person. The amount that I pay for rent, if it's a 1-bedroom apartment, if it's a single room, and somebody who is older than me, twice my age, we are going to pay the same amount of rent. Why can't we come up with policies and say, these are young people who are trying to get a grip of life.
That's it.
Why can't we subsidize some of these services?
Pretty much. Vic, I want you to hold your thought right there because I'm going to give you 2 minutes once we come from this break. And gentlemen, the question that you've not really answered, Kasam, is not really come from you. What majority of Kenyans are saying is, fine, but then why are you officiating it? What are you officiating? That what would have been seen now is the government going on the ground to follow up on the youth that have already received this money so that we start seeing the success stories that are coming from the ground on what the Nyota fund is doing. What we are seeing on our screens, on our social media platforms, the communique that we're getting from the government is majorly on the disbursement, not the effect already. That's the questions the majority of Kenyans are asking. And how much does it cost for the president to host an event at Nyayo Stadium, Kasam? I want you to hold your thoughts right there. Because once we come back from this break, I'll be giving you your time, gentlemen, to respond to that, plus many other issues that we're going to look at. I'll also be reading your comments online from some of your reactions that have come from the president and the UDA government pushing heavy on the Nyota fund. Do you believe that indeed it's a campaign tool or a change tool? Talk to us and Look Up TV across all your social media platforms, still with Kasam and Victor, once we come back.
Do you need a dose of hope? If so, you are in the right place. We think of ourselves around here as hope dealers, delivering truth, power, and inspiration to hearts and minds all over the world. If nothing else has worked for you, why not give the God thing a try? For it's in the presence of God that you'll find everything that you need. Amen.
For you to forgive someone who has hurt you?
How easy is it?
What are some tips, a person can apply to improve their public speaking skills?
We all have personality lazy somewhere around us.
In my mind, whenever I'm invited for a public speaking event, I don't like to put a lot of, accessories or too many colors.
What are the major things to look out when choosing a school for a child?
Another cheesy conversation starter is, men do this a lot. Men look familiar. Have we met before?
No.
We met in
Nobody's buying that line again.
No, we don't. We don't buy it anymore.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Lookup, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza alikuwa na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi man.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
Welcome back to the Morning Drift. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiege, still with Victor and Oyoka Sam right here in the studio, looking at the politics of the Nyota Fund, asking the question, is this the way to go? Just before I cross back to them, then this is what you gotta know. The total budget for the Nyota Fund has been approximated from about 20 to 33 billion combined of Government of Kenya and the World Bank funding. Now, you gotta know that entrepreneurs are receiving up to 50,000 shillings, that is on the startup fund, typically structured at 22,000 to 25,000 shillings in direct business funds, as a portion is saved into NSSF. 3,000 is gonna go into NSSF. So in total, you're receiving about 46,000 shillings, and this is done in 2 tranches. But for those who've been lucky, some have received the entire tranche from the reports that we're getting into the studio. Now, the whole of the government, that's what it does. It has involved the State Department for Youth Affairs and Creative Economy, NSSF, and MSAR. So the ones that are leading in the Nyota Fund program. Now, for you to qualify, you don't know what you have to do. *254#. That is the USD through your phone for applications and integrated with the Hustler Fund platform. This is aimed to just make it as transparent as possible. The only thing is, once you qualify for your Nyota Fund program, all your funds are going to go to your Pochi la Biashara. Victor, just before we went on break, the only question that you didn't answer is, what is the president officiating?
Actually, we were looking at the factor, the president's time first is valuable, and I don't think the president is using his time properly as the head of state of this country. You can't be a president on top of the vehicles ever since you began your term to where we are now. We are actually 1.5 years to elections, and still the president is still on the campaign mode. Secondly, look at the resources used in hosting these events. You're using billions of shillings. Probably a quarter of that money will be used to host these events.
That's it.
But what is the effectiveness of the program? And again, you're giving this money as a grant. You're not giving it as a loan. How sure are we about the criteria you use to select the participants? And how sure are we that it's corrupt-free? Because in Kenya, we are traumatized, actually, by the rate at which we lose resources, especially for national projects. So the president's role is not actually to officiate such functions. This project should be headed by the Ministry of Youth Affairs.
Yes.
They're the people who should be at the head of it. So all I'm trying to say is that the Nyota launch, the president is trying to use it also to woo young people. Remember, he has not been in good shape with young people. after the Gen Z protest, which happened in 2024. So he has been trying to bring young people closer to him. And he thinks now this is the perfect time to use this program and show young people, you see, there's something I'm doing. However, there is no sustainability of such programs. And again, what criteria are you using to award this money to 100,000 young people and excluding the rest? Yes. So in fact, the project is discriminatory. If it were a project that is aimed at improving the lives of young people, we all know the rates of unemployment in this country. Every young person has a right to be entitled to that money. If it's a money that is, it's grants that the government has decided to offer them, why would you pick this and, you know, fail to give to this other person? Because they are facing similar challenges, the challenges of unemployment. So the project is discriminatory in the first place. Secondly, there are very, very weak frameworks to ensure there is accountability of the funds. First, after the funds have been disbursed by the, 90% of those funds are being disbursed by the World Bank. We are not told are they loans or are they grants from the World Bank. Because KYOP was actually a loan from the World Bank, which was launched in 2016. So we also need to know, is this a loan or is this a grant? So what mechanisms do we have in place to ensure that we follow up for accountability? Where funds are involved, there has to be accountability. And again, why is the government borrowing so much money from lending institutions like the banks? In fact, the government is the biggest client to banks right now, depriving the private sector of getting access to loans. And if you deprive this sector the advantage of securing loans from financial institutions, yes, and the government is the monopoly of taking these loans, so it tells you that businesses are going to struggle. And there are mounting questions. What is the longevity of this project? Okay, you've given me 22,000. Maybe I'm doing well in this business right now. Do I qualify for a better loan tomorrow? Or do I qualify for a better grant so that I can expand to scale up?
Pretty much.
You know?
Victor, at the certain point, I know you're going to respond to what, sorry, Kasam, you're going to respond to what Victor said. Just let me take you through to some of the guys who are watching you this morning. We see exactly what they're saying. I promise that we have to keep on looking at the comments as we go by. This is Kipegon Maritim. Was responding to you, Victor, this morning, was saying this is being petty. Project proposal was conceived and written by the government of Kenya. World Bank approved and loaned government of Kenya 90% of the funds, as you're saying. Explain to me how this is not a government of Kenya project. They're saying you people can be really petty. I'm going to give you 15 seconds before I cross over to Kasam.
Okay, to respond to that,
yes,
this is it is a loan. Or is it a grant from the World Bank? I think we need to get it clear.
So what Kipegon is saying, that is a loan for a government project.
It's a loan for the government project,
yes,
right? This loan is taken on behalf of us, young people.
Yes.
You've written a proposal on behalf of young people. Did you consult us? Mm-hmm. Did you ask us what we want that money to do? Can you tell me what 33 billion shillings can do in the industrial world?
That's it.
33 billion is a lot of money.
Pretty much.
So who gave out the criteria that we need to be given 50,000 for a startup? Mm-hmm. So we were never consulted.
So
but we have to repay it back. That is a fact.
Yes, we have to repay.
At what interest? At what interest rate? So they are not talking about all this, the nitty-gritties of that loan.
Yes.
What they're telling us is that it's good for the people.
That's it.
But they're not going into details and telling us how good is it for the people. How good is it to us?
Now, Kasam, I've got a direct comment to you as well as you get ready to respond to what Victor has presented. This is Badrawi who's saying, tell Kasam that Nyota is a World Bank project. All right? It's a loan that will be paid by the government of Kenya. I don't know how the government plans to recover the money and pay back the loan plus the interest accrued, since it's a 2-year project. That only explains it as the president's attempt of wooing young voters. Starts there, ends there.
First, let me say something. I'm going to answer him honestly, but because I'm a very honest man, when the other presidents were the president, like let me call the immediate one.
Yes.
When His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was the president, was the population of young people 10%?
No.
It was just still 70.
Yes.
So every government has a criteria of tackling the majority in a nation for the nation to run. That's why during the previous government, the president targeted two main people. That was the youth that he did through KYOP, and the older people that were being given some stipend.
That's it.
At the end of the month. You remember?
Yes.
The aged people were given brackets. People complained, but the old people did not complain. Yet it was alone. That's why after some time, the program went short. So one thing I have to say is, if you continue consulting all Kenyans, a project will never be executed, even an ordinary road. That's why in the Constitution, we don't have a proper framework on how a public participation should be done.
Is that what we're getting wrong as a country, Kasam?
We are not getting wrong as a county. The problem with Kenyans, more so the young generation.
Yes.
Right now, I'm a young person, and I'm 100% supporter of the young people. But there is nothing like the youth for youth. That is a common online phrase. Kwa ground mambo ni different.
Yes.
There is nothing like youth for youth.
But isn't that
because number one,
isn't that what should be changing? I mean, petition the government to give us a criteria for public participation, so that this kind of questions, we could be having a different conversation this morning about the
young people will not turn up for these public participations. Personally, I'm telling you, because everybody from where I come from, be it in Homa Bay, be it in Migori, be it in Uasin Gishu where I reside,
yes,
they will tell you Jevin Kasam will never miss a public participation. Go to that place. Out of the 200 or 300 people will come, you can count young people. And when they come, all they ask for is, ngapi, tunapewa, for us to go back. So for young people to succeed, before we criticize even those who are in government,
yes,
we must change our mentality as young people. You understand? Because these people are also finding it so hard to work with us. Look at KYOP. You can barely map projects that worked under KYOP. Because KYOP was mainly dealing with, the main thing it was funding, it was youth-led organization. You team up a group of people, you register, then they will give you better funds to actualize something.
Yes.
Once people get these funds, they distribute it among themselves and leave. So one good thing with Nyota Fund that people don't talk about is, one, the only way you can succeed with it, to misuse it, is to withdraw it from that account. So if it is restricted to stay in the Pochi la Biashara, it does not do other transactions. Like, one, you cannot transfer it to a bar pay bill. It does not pick. You send it to buy goods of a specific thing that does not relate to that line. It does not work. But do they tell you? No. So if somebody is giving you funds that he has taken on your behalf, and you are a young person with a vision, that's why I said business is not about how much you have. It's about the idea you have. The idea you want to implement. You see? You cannot go and rent a house worth 22,000 and yet you know you are not in a capacity to pay. And all these counties where the president have worked, this thing is organized by the SMEs. The Waziri and Weekly for Paranya, and the Department of Youth Affairs, which is Waziri Mvuria and
yes,
the PS Fikirini Jacobs.
Yes.
So when Fikirini Jacobs and Mvuria and two Waziris sit down and invite the president, is he not in a position to come to address a public event? And I want to assure you that, sir, Kenyans will talk even if these projects were not flagged up.
What is the need for these public events for the Nyota Fund?
Kenyans believe in what they see. Kenyans believe in what they see. Let me tell you.
Yes, Kasam.
If the you know there are a number of people to start from.
Kasam,
yes?
Kasam, but I'm going to give you all your time, but then you still have your 4 minutes before we bring in Victor. So I'm sorry for eating into that.
Sorry.
If you've trained me You pre-qualified me. I've already applied, and I've gone through the application process, and I've been pre-qualified to receive this money. Why do you need to call me to a public gathering to showcase that indeed I've received this money? What is the point of that?
That is also an accountability. That is the first form of accountability. If I give you behind these screens 10,000, and I say it on another screen that I gave you 10,000 and you deny, nobody will believe. But you see, when you bring series of people that have benefited from this program, then you put them on air, and they give little, this is a way of first reuniting with the president. Like he said before, that gap had been reached. So the only way to reach a gap with young people, let me just finish this.
Are you agreeing
No, let me finish on this one.
Yes,
I want you people to get my point.
All right.
I want you people to get my point.
That's it.
He will be the first person to say that that money was not given to anybody. If that specific event of bringing those people together was not conducted, he will be the first person saying, oh, those are PR. That's the same way this advertisement was made for people to apply for these funds. Hustler Fund, sir, was a loan. You are to take it and repay it. You people refused to pay it, including you. If we check, you will find you have not paid Hustler Fund. You took it and you never paid it. Now the government has seen that young people don't want to pay loans. Now they have decided, because tell me, do you know people who sit in the board of the World Bank to listen to proposals and give money? Do you think they are fools to give money to ideas that will not sell? Or what they feel will not generate back the money?
If it's a loan, I mean, you're going to pay back. They can give you the money.
No, you are not given a loan. That one, everybody will access a loan. And what he said, that business, if started with this money, will not be sustainable. The county governments where the president worked, he had already negotiated with them, and they accepted to give them a waiver of a given period for their businesses to pick up, which was roughly 6 months to around a year. It was depending on the governor and what they discussed. Yes. That brings me, if a business keeps on running and you are given a waiver or not to pay for what we say the business permit for a given time. Yes. Once your business peaks and you get a business permit and you want to go further, you feel you can only reservice the loan you have, because the first one you were given as a grant. You only take the certificate of the organization, take it to a given bank, and then you get a stipend or another loan to add to stock what you have, because you've already been given funds to establish a business. That's it. So once you get a business permit, you can use a business to get a loan, which maybe does not know. And I still will remind you that even when Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was the president of Kenya, the population of the youth was still around 78 to 75%. And all the problems of the young people were not solved. And even, let's say, even the KO project, it did not even help around 1 million young people. Yet the population was still 75%. Now somebody has got, the president, through the youth, the Ministry of Youth, is coming up with an idea, not to solely sort the 100% population of young people so that they be equipped and ready to go to the market. But they have only reduced the number. At least let us appreciate for once that the project coordinator, at least you've brought these funds and a given population of young people have benefited. That is the problem with Kenyans. The problem with Kenyans is they can never give you credit. They can never give you credit. You do a good thing, we talk about it. You do a bad thing, now we talk about it. So let us believe that the population of those, I want you to accept that at least there is a given population of young people that have been impacted. Let's talk about the institution of prior learning. Yes. You have skills. The Kenya Ports is giving chances to people with skills. But you don't have a proof you have the skills. Somebody pays for everything so that you acquire the skills. You get the certificate. You can even start something for your own. That's it. You can create your own service, you can create your own workshop, you can create your own furniture shop, set up your things, put your certificate there and sell. Everybody cannot get a white collar job.
That's it. I want you to take, Victor, I'm going to come to you, and I'm going to give you only 15 seconds to respond to this because it's now Victor's time. This is a member, Magufuli, who's watching us this morning. Good morning, sir. And this is saying, giving Kenyan youth 50,000 shillings through the Nyota fund may sound generous, but in today's economy, it is simply not enough to start a sustainable business. That's what he's saying. After paying for licenses, rent, equipment, and initial stock, the money is gone before a business even opens. A minimum of 200,000 per youth would be more realistic, enough to support a small kiosk or a minimart, salon, barber shop, border or delivery service, laundry business, food outlet, or an agri-value addition business. Goes on to say, youth empowerment must be practical and honest, continues to say, not symbolic handouts, all right? Ruto should top up each youth with an additional 150,000 to enable them to start meaningful and sustainable businesses. This is a member who's saying, in this economy, Kasam, 22,000 realistically cannot get you ahead.
What do Kenyans want?
More money, Kasam, to start
I
businesses.
sleep over this question. That has been my point of concern. When now this government was giving them equipment, they were doing empowerment, giving them equipment. Aye, that is wasting Kenyan resources. Now they are being given money. They want over 1 million per person. Are we heading this way? I want to tell you the problem that these people have. The problem with the likes of Kamau is one.
Yes.
Number one, they don't want to accept reality. Your own father who gave birth to you cannot even give you 10,000 because he's also frustrated. Somebody's father, who is the head of state, has sympathized with you. You have reasoned and he has seen sense that at least each Kenyan should own something. He's giving you 50. If they cannot handle 22,000, like most of them are claiming on the social media, that they're getting drunk with 22,000. That is the 20% that I'm taking out of the 100% that are receiving the 100,000. So the 20% that are getting drunk, if you give them 200,000, these people will run crazy. And let me just focus on this point.
That's it.
Just to finish, in 5 seconds.
That's it.
Business does not mean you go and rent a kiosk and put something in it.
Meaningful business.
There are a series of meaningful businesses. You can get into agribusiness. I can see my colleague here is laughing.
Yes.
But I'm a true definition. I run series of farms and I don't work.
That's it.
I don't have money. But I get a small amount of money. I go and get some farm somewhere. Like a guy was giving example the other time with 22,000. He tells you from their own village, they are having a small piece of land. Mm-hmm. So what he's going to do is going to buy a piglet. A piglet will go for 4,000. 2 piglets, that is around 8,000. I can see he's laughing. But the problem with him, he wants to behave like a graduate and he has no resources.
Well, we're going to come back to you on that as well.
No, I have to finish this one.
Yes. Kasam,
no,
please.
Let me finish this one.
Can you clear, please? Because I want to cross over to it's okay, Kasam. So even before you respond to that, I know you have many responses to him. This is what Senator Okiya Omtatah is saying. It's got no problem with the Nyota Fund, Victor. But then he's saying, the Constitution also does not allow you to borrow money for PR activities. Goes on to ask the question, these officiating events that we are seeing across the country that are going into the Nyota Fund, where the president is purely just invited as a guest in an already concluded event, how are they factored in this Nyota Fund? Why are we allowing him to campaign on the Nyota Fund draft?
Okay, even before I go to what Okiya Omtatah said, we have to look at our debt ceiling. What is the current national debt that we have in this country? It's about 12 trillion shillings.
That's it.
Yeah? Now, they've said we cannot borrow more. In fact, the president said now we will not borrow more. We will go into selling public assets so that we can raise what we call the infrastructure fund. And I want to come back to what Okiya Omtata said. Yes. You are borrowing 33 billion on our behalf without consulting us, without a clear framework on how this money is going to be spent. 33 billion is a lot of money. Even 1 billion will not be spent in this entire activity. Can you tell me where the rest of the money is going? So the issue of accountability comes in. Another question that comes up from what my brother is saying. My brother is insisting that you can start a business with any amount of money. And he's trying to say that 50,000 is enough to start a business. Yes. I don't have a problem with that. But does everybody have the entrepreneurial skills that are needed for you to scale up, especially from humble beginnings to where we are? Right now, the main issues that we are facing as a country, it's not about access to credit so that we can be given grants from governments. Look at our tax policies. Do they support SMEs? You know, look at Nairobi County. What business can you start with 50,000? And even though you start a smoky business down here, they can do, the city askaris will come for you. We've seen them come and do some operations which end up, you know, investors lose everything. So what I'm trying to say is this. The president is not addressing the real issue. Yes. What young people need, we need policies that will guarantee, you know, support to all young people in this country. For instance, if you come up with what we call tax breaks, they've come up with tax breaks especially for businesses of a certain age cap, especially for young people who are the main targets in these projects. If you come up with that kind of an initiative to say we are having tax breaks, all this taxation that he has added ever since he came to power up to now, if you reduce it and exempt young people from it, I will be able to get my 5,000 shillings and begin a small business, and it can easily scale up. But look at the cost of operation of a business in this country. How sustainable will that be? And I want to inform my friend, not everybody will invest in agribusiness. You are lucky to invest in that field. We are talking about a population of young people of about 75%. Talk about the creative industry. What kind of support is the government giving to the creative industry? Right now, if you go to the city center, you will find young people with cameras. You pass, they will tell you, come, let me take you a picture. How is the government going to support that kind of a small initiative that these young people have taken? That camera is about 60,000, right? And after there is all the equipments that they need will go up to about 60, 70,000. How is the government going to ensure that these businesses are sustainable? That is the question that we are asking. Not everyone is going to benefit from this Nyota fund. Not everybody is interested to go to school to get a certificate of a skill that they cannot prove that they have that skill. Not everyone has that. But if you come up with policies and laws affect each and every person. So why is the president not ascending to what we call the startup bill? Because the startup bill, once ascended into law, if the presidential assent, if it's passed, it's going to be in the constitution that it's the responsibility of the government to create business incubation centers in all the 1,450 wards in this country. And if you do that, young people will get hubs, economic hubs, where they can go and learn, innovate, and do everything. So I was watching the other day, I saw in Botswana, they've created the Silicon Valley of Botswana. And look at Kenya. Big innovations like M-Pesa, they've come up from Kenya, which is a cashless system. And it's being adopted. It's actually scaling up to neighboring countries like Ethiopia. And right now we are talking about other like Congo and so on. Yes. So what I'm trying to say is this. We don't need handouts for us to make it in life. This is, I can liken what my friend is saying to what the Kenyan pastors do. You know, you're trying to give testimonials and trying to fix a narrative that it's very possible for you to make. How many businesses begin and don't proceed? How many businesses have failed? We've seen people on screens, in news, claiming that actually the SME sector, majority of them have closed down businesses. Why are people closing down businesses? How many companies have folded down so far as we talk? Last year alone, we had more than 50 50 companies was the last 3 months of last year that had folded. If companies are folding, are you going to create employment for young people? In fact, what young people want, it's opportunities for them to exercise their skills, opportunities for them to work and create wealth.
Yes.
If you get employed in a sustainable employment, you're going to make this 50,000 for yourself.
That's it.
You don't need the government to go take a loan from World Bank.
That's it.
To come and give this money as, you know, as a, in fact, it's not even an incentive. It's a grant they're saying that they're giving. Where can they introduce incentives to the people that are already in the business environment? So, before I conclude, all my friend needs to understand, and this government, I want to send this message. Policies affect each and every person in this country. And majority of us being young people, these policies are going to impact us directly. Let the president come up with policies that are going to impact the lives of young people. And these policies, let them be directed into job creation. Reduce the cost of operating businesses in the country through legislation. Reduce the cost of production. Electricity is so expensive in this country. And you cannot say that you're giving me 50,000, I want to start a welding business, right? With this 50,000, I have the machine. But the cost of running this machine surpasses the amount that you've given me as, you know, as a grant to start this business. So access to capital is just a section of the challenge that we are facing. Yes. But the huge chunk of the challenge is in legislation. Can we make Kenya a hub where people can come and invest? Companies should not be folding to neighboring countries. Companies should be coming here. Just before I conclude, China, what initiatives did they take to become the world industries? They reduced the cost of production. And that's why right now, every product across the world, not even in Kenya, yes, they're made in China. We are seeing the second-hand clothes that are coming in Think Twice. And you can see how that business has picked up. What are we doing? Why can't we come up with a law that says that we want to come up with a uniform, a unique uniform, school uniform, and then look at the population of the pupils that we have in school. Then come up and say we need young people who are going to work in this factory or industry that is going to produce these uniforms for these students. So if we do that, we will have cut the cost of what? The cost of unemployment, the rates of unemployment in the country, and also the cost of this uniform. We have the border sector. How many people is the border sector employing? Where do we get these gears for the border sector from? Then you sit down as a government and say, now this is a need and this is a niche in the market. What we are going to do, all these gears are going to be produced locally. And if we do this, we are going to absorb, we're going to create a labor pool, especially from the young people, and we're going to absorb these young people into this sector. And we're going to reduce drastically the rates of unemployment. But telling me I'm already unemployed where I sit, yes, I'm servicing a loan, an M-Kopa phone loan, because that is the new norm of young people in this country. I'm struggling to get the data bundles to load in this phone, and you've given me 50,000. The first thing that will come is that let me pay this Okoa loan that I have, and then I can come and top up the airtime. It's natural. It's not that I'm unwise, but I cannot invest on an empty stomach. And I cannot invest with all those kind of economic pressures that are surrounding us as young people. So, my friend, if you're close to this broad-based government, because I think he's arguing from the point of the broad-based government, I want to tell you this. Tell the president to address real issues affecting young people. Giving you 22,000, it's just an advanced amount of handout. Because we've had handouts in especially right now that we are headed to the campaign season. This is just an handout, and since he's the head of state, he wants to make it better so that people can be confused.
Pretty much, Kasam. I want to take your closing sentiments because I'm informed we only have 2 minutes left. I'm going to give you a minute. Speak to the youth who are listening to you this morning on this issue for the Nyota Fund. What is the approach that you want them to take this morning?
One, just because I close up, I don't want to talk much.
Yes.
But all Kenyans outside there, and every young person outside there,
yes,
who have benefited from the Nyota Fund, come out and say it in bold. Secondly, I want to say, as from where I sit, as Jevin Oyoka Sam,
noted.
I'm not just talking and putting no action towards it. I'll give you a good example from where I came from this morning coming to this place. That is Uasin Gishu County,
yes,
under Governor Jonathan Chelelimbi. Together with a movement of young people that is operating in Uasin Gishu, that is Vijana Ninguzo movement, where I am a member. We are up to scale up a bill to ensure that all those who are startup businesses, like the governor had promised the president when he came during that launch,
yes,
is making sure that that bill is being passed in the county assembly, so that all people who are starting young businesses that are few days old or months old are tax-free. They are not given any tax,
yes,
and they are given a little relief on their permits.
Pretty much.
So every young person who is outside here yapping that the government is not doing anything, show us what you are doing, because you cannot criticize the government online. Put a few things into action. You cannot say everything the government is doing is wrong.
Yes.
As a person, what are you doing? So my last key text to the critics of the government.
That's it.
These things that you want the government to do, don't say them on your WhatsApp. Don't say them on your WhatsApp status. The president does not have your number. Don't say them on your Facebook account. The PS for Youth Affairs does not follow you, or even Waziri does not follow you. The critics you are giving about Nyota Fund on your page on Facebook, the project coordinator, Augustine, does not follow you. So what you can do, look for a better way. Attend public participation concerning the national government, concerning the county government, concerning the wards,
yes,
so that you can give your ideas, influence the majority from where you come from,
that's it,
to buy your ideas, so that your ideas can be given priorities during public participation, so that they can be put into practice.
Victor, I'm just going to give you 45 seconds as well. Once you speak, we'll be stepping out of the studio.
Mine is simple. I want to ask the President of the Republic of Kenya, yes, to assent to the startup bill. The startup bill will solve 90% of the challenges that we are facing now.
That's it.
And the young people that are online, I want to encourage you, stay online. Don't be discouraged that being online does not have an impact. If it didn't have an impact, the Gen Z protests will not take place, and these guys will not be cowards to come and try to counter us in the streets using police bullets and so on. So stay online and advocate for what you believe online. Use all media, social media platforms that you can get to advocate to what you believe in and what you think that can be done in this country.
Pretty much. Guess what? After that, I don't think we have much more to say. Mine is just say thank you very much to Oyoka-san for visiting. I mean, make this place your home, Bana. I think now you've seen it. All right? I mean, Victor ni mwenyeji, sasa unajua. Imebaki wewe sasa. All right. Thank you very much. I'll see you another day for another conversation. For all those who've been watching us online, I can already see DP who's talking to me this morning. I can also see James who's also saying hi this morning. I mean, majority of your contributions this morning, I was able to put them together and then put them front to our guest this morning. Online at Look Up TV across all your social media platforms. Our number is right there on your screen. Talk to us. Like as usual, we shall talk back to you as well. Goodbye and good morning.
We value your feedback and welcome your complaints about our program